We love Rapture, we adore Rapture, but in the end of the day, it was a graveyard, effectively. Everybody was either dead or coming to get you, with very few exceptions. And we sort of knew very early on that that wasn't going to be the case with Columbia. We really want to take on a different challenge, and it's much, much, much more difficult to do. But we also wanted a world that's both alive and has a level of detail that's a paradigm shift away from any other video game you've ever seen before. There's just so much to do all the time. So much detail, so much story in the world, from little electromechanical, very simple puppet show things to little kinetoscopes. You can watch little movies about Columbia that were made there, to full-fledged, fairground experience at the very beginning of the game, where you both are learning about the world, also learning how to use the various, weapons and vigors. It really is an incredibly interactive world, and it was a goal we had right from the beginning, and I think that the team really delivered on that. And the leader of the city, this Father Comstock, they call him, he purports himself to be a prophet, that he can see the future, and there are several visions that he's had, and one is the angel Columbia coming to him, and God going to Moses and saying, lead your people to this promised land. And what's odd in the game is right from the beginning, the players start seeing some of these prophecies coming true, some of them even about himself. So right away you're coming to grips with seemingly this sort of metaphysical character that that plays a very large role in this world. Comstock describes the city as another ark for another time. Like Noah's Ark, that it is, that they've been chosen by divine power to sort of float above the doomed people below who need to be wiped out. And he views that as his mission, is to carry humanity forward, but the right kind of humanity forward. Anything related to the story is always difficult to talk about because we don't want to spoil anything for people. And I think we're hearing from people, and we were hoping to hear was that it's both at the same time incredibly similar and incredibly different to BioShock 1. And here you're going up instead of down, but there's also a lighthouse, and there's also a sense of this starting point. And so there's similarities, but they're also opposites in a lot of ways. And even if you look at, like, say, Comstock and Ryan, they seem like opposites in terms of their personalities. And one is a capitalist atheist, and Comstock is a religious fundamentalist. And they seem so different, but at the same time, they both have this belief system that they believe solves all problems. And anybody who disagrees with them, they have a real problem with. And Elizabeth is very present in the world. I think that's one thing that's striking about her, is that we work very hard that she would take the player's cues and find opportunities to do cool stuff that the player doesn't have to wait for or doesn't have to direct or drive. And the game is, and it's sort of our first opportunity to show off, this is not an AI you've really seen before. She's not just there as another gun in combat. She's not just there to talk to you, or jabber behind you. She's not there to carry stuff for you. She's there to be your partner through this experience. And she's got all these amazing abilities in combat and out of combat. In combat, she's tossing you ammo, she's tossing you health, she's calling out enemies, that are flanking you. She's opening tears, as we said before, and she's reviving you when you go down. And out of combat, she's sort of like the little nerd girl of 1912. She's got all these. She was locked in this tower, so she had all these interests like picking locks and cryptography, breaking codes, music and art, and you see all those interests sort of come about in the game because she helps you break into locks and open saves and safes and things like that. And there are some code breaking that she does for you. She's quite engaged in the world. If you go into a vending machine sometimes and you really want something, but you're missing just a few bucks, she just might hook you up. All the vigors have sort of two aspects. One is their function and one is their form. And I really like to, if it doesn't have a cool form, it's generally not turned into a vigor, because if you can't think of a way to make it express itself coolly, so like the Murder Pros is great because, you know, the notion of you can fight many enemies at once in this game, unlike BioShock 1. There's a lot of more variety of the combat. And like where Insect Swarm wasn't very useful in the first game because you only fought 1 or 2 people at a time, in this game, Murder Crow is incredibly useful because you could be fighting 7 or 8 guys sometimes. And it also does damage, and you can upgrade it, and you can make a trap out of it, and you can do all these cool things to it. But it's also really cool viscerally. You know, you have this sort of, like, you see like feathers and claw. You know, you have this hand that sort of has feathers on it and the sort of claw-like structure. And then you just shoot out a flight of crows at people, and it just feels really cool and really dark and strange.